Hey everyone, welcome to This Explainer. I am so thrilled you're joining me today because, well, we're diving into something that literally touches every single one of us. We're going to explore this incredibly powerful motivational story and the framework behind it by Ramanujam Santo. It's called The Choice of Happiness, Finding Peace in Small Things. We spend so much of our lives just running on this endless treadmill, right? Chasing after things we think are finally going to make us feel complete. But what if the formula we've been handed is completely backward? Let's just dive right into this and fundamentally reframe how we look at joy.
So, can happiness be bought? I mean, it's a question as old as commerce itself, isn't it? From the time we're little kids, society kind of heavily implies, and honestly sometimes just directly tells us, that the answer is a big, resounding yes. We're constantly bombarded with this idea that the right car, the perfect house, the newest gadget, or that crazy dream vacation is the ultimate key to unlocking a joyful life. We subconsciously tie our inner peace directly to our purchasing power. But is that actually the reality, or is it just a really well-sold illusion?
Let's push that narrative just a little bit further for a second. Are only rich people truly happy? Think about it. If material wealth was the absolute foolproof requirement for a fulfilling life, then every single wealthy person on the planet would just be radiating joy 24/7, and everyone without wealth would be entirely miserable. But, well, we all know that's simply not true. We see immense wealth coupled with deep sadness, anxiety, and loneliness all the time. So if money and external resources aren't the undeniable source code for human joy, what actually is?
Or is happiness simply a choice? What if joy isn't some grand prize you finally win after accumulating enough wealth, but rather an active, daily decision you make? Now that is a pretty radical shift in perspective. It completely moves happiness from being this passive result of your environment to an active posture you take in the world. To really wrap our heads around this, we're going to look at a beautiful narrative from our source material that perfectly encapsulates this whole idea.
The text sets the scene in a small, incredibly quiet village. And in this village lived an elderly woman. Now, she had no great wealth. She certainly didn't live in a luxurious mansion. She didn't have overflowing bank accounts. In fact, she possessed almost nothing of real material value. And yet, she was known throughout the entire village for one defining characteristic. She was always smiling. She just radiated this constant, undeniable joy that totally baffled everyone around her.
Now, the story makes it absolutely clear that her life was incredibly difficult. We're talking deep poverty, physical and emotional pain, and she had suffered the devastating loss of loved ones. Those are heavy, crushing burdens for anyone to carry. But in this wild contrast, her state of mind was completely different. She was always smiling, always grateful, and just peaceful. How do those two realities even exist in the same person? It completely defies our basic logic of cause and effect, right? It's honestly no wonder the whole village was absolutely amazed by her.
Eventually, the villagers just couldn't take it anymore. They simply had to know. The text narrates this really pivotal moment where a young man from the village finally walks right up to her and asks, "What is the secret behind your smile?" He essentially says, "Grandmother, how do you manage to stay so incredibly happy when life has handed you so many relentless struggles?" In that moment, he really represents all of us, doesn't he? Just searching for the hidden mechanic behind that kind of true, unshakable resilience.
Her response is profound. In fact, it's the absolute anchor of this entire philosophy. She tells him, happiness is not a situation, it is a choice. She looked at this young man and, she didn't offer him some magic potion or a bunch of toxic positivity platitudes. She was deeply honest. She straight up told him her life wasn't easy. She acknowledged the poverty, the pain, and the grief. But she revealed that through all of that darkness, she learned a vital, life-saving lesson. She realized that waiting for her situation to become absolutely perfect before allowing herself to be happy was a total trap.
And here is the crucial takeaway. Every morning, choose happiness. I really want to let the emotional weight of that sink in for a second. She isn't talking about some one-time grand revelation. She's talking about a deliberate, active daily discipline. Every single morning, the moment she opens her eyes, before the weight of her circumstances can even try to crush her, she makes a conscious, deliberate choice to lean towards joy over despair. It is a daily practice, very much like building a muscle. So how did she practically execute this choice every single day? Well, through gratitude. But I don't mean just murmuring a quick thank you. It's the active practice of finding something good every single day. Think of it like an active treasure hunt. And according to the story, when she shared this practice with the young man, it didn't just transform her own life. It actually sparked a massive revolution in the village. The villagers slowly stopped their endless complaining and started practicing this active gratitude, which ended up totally shifting the mindset of the entire community. Talk about a ripple effect. Section 1. Life Lessons. Unpacking the Secret. Okay, let's unpack exactly how you can take this framework and start applying it to your own life right now.
Let's start with the first major lesson here. The great illusion of the human condition is believing that external circumstances, our jobs, our wealth, the weather, traffic, other people's opinions, are the true source of our happiness. But they aren't. They are completely volatile and largely out of our control. True joy, exactly as the elderly woman demonstrated, comes entirely from internal choice. It's about how we think, the narratives we constantly tell ourselves, and exactly how we choose to react to those external events.
This internal choice essentially builds into 4 concrete actions you can take, even when things are incredibly difficult. Step 1. Find something good every day. Like we just talked about, this has to be an active search. Step 2. Believe in yourself and really trust your inner capacity to weather the storm. Step 3. Remember that bad times do not last. The old woman constantly reminded herself of the old saying, "This too shall pass." And finally, Step 4. Be grateful for the small things. When you can't find some massive, life-changing victory to celebrate, find a tiny one, a really warm cup of coffee, or even just a brief moment of sunshine. These 4 actions combined form an amazing protective shield for your mindset.
And this brings us to a really vital lesson on perspective. Life has ups and downs, but peace comes from within. You see, the goal of this philosophy is absolutely not to pretend that life is just some smooth, constant upward trajectory. It's not about ignoring your pain. Life is, for sure, a crazy roller coaster of massive highs and devastating lows. That is just the external reality. But the profound realization from our source text is that while you are on that roller coaster, your inner peace can remain completely insulated. It is generated from the inside, under your total control, regardless of the crazy loops and drops happening on the outside.
Now here is the ultimate perspective shift. If you do not have everything in life, do not be sad, because many dream of the life you already have. We spend so much of our time constantly looking up the ladder, right? Feeling sad about the things we lack, the goals we haven't achieved, the wealth we haven't acquired. And in doing that, we completely forget to look down the ladder and realize that our everyday, totally mundane baseline reality is literally someone else's wild, unattainable fantasy. Finding joy in the small things really starts with recognizing how genuinely wealthy you already are in the grand scheme of the world.
Which leads us to this huge, profound realization from the text. Happiness is not a destination, it is a way of living. This is right where we usually get it all wrong. We tell ourselves things like, "Oh, I'll finally be happy when I get that big promotion," or "I'll be happy when I pay off this debt." We treat happiness like a finish line we just have to cross. But the elderly woman from the village proved that happiness is actually the shoes you wear while you walk the path. It is the manner in which you travel, not the place you are traveling to. It is an ongoing journey and a daily, highly intentional practice.
As we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with a final, somewhat provocative question. Will you choose happiness today? And I mean today, not tomorrow, not when your circumstances finally align perfectly, but right now. The source material by Ramanujam Santo beautifully reminds us that the real power isn't hiding in our bank accounts. It's entirely in our minds. So when you wake up tomorrow morning, I want you to remember the elderly woman from the village. Take a deep breath, look around at the small things, and simply make the choice. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer, and I seriously challenge you to carry this framework with you into the rest of your day.